Hey everyone, welcome to Science-Based Fitness. In this video, we're going to discuss 3 tips that are going to help speed up the hypertrophy process. Now, if you're new to the channel, I like to make science-relevant fitness topics. I'm a personal trainer, I have a degree in exercise science. So without further ado, let's jump right into this topic. First up on this list, we have drop sets, which you can see me doing here for my triceps. So a drop set is where we have a fairly heavy weight. I rep this out close to failure. Now I drop this down to 60 pounds, give little to no rest. And in this circumstance, my rest is only the amount of time I have to change the weights. I rep this out again close to failure, and then repeat for the desired number of sets you want to add. Drop sets are great for absolutely crushing the muscles, and this process provides a greater amount of what we call sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now let me get into the science a little bit here. If we zoom in on our muscles, here is a muscle fiber. Inside we have myofibrils. Those myofibrils are what contract when we do activities. And the outer space of this is our sarcoplasm. This is essentially the cytoplasm of the muscle cell, and it contains things like glycogen, myoglobin, calcium, and this is where we find mitochondria. Subjecting someone to something like a drop set will lead to more metabolic stress, meaning you'll experience sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which will increase the size of the muscle. A 2019 systematic review on hypertrophy found that this type of training method using drop sets is on par with traditional sets when looking at those who are trained individuals. They did find that those who were less trained individuals, drop sets led to greater hypertrophy. I've researched this topic in the past and have made videos on drop sets. This method doesn't seem to be a cheat code, but where it really does help benefit people is it helps you save a lot of time. So for those who are in the gym 2 hours a day and hit 30 sets per muscle group, this probably isn't as useful to you. But for those who hit 30 minutes to an hour for their weight training sessions, this might be a great way to add in a lot more volume and is shown to be just as effective as traditional sets. But I do typically give a recommendation with drop sets is use them at the end of your workout. Because they do increase metabolic stress, it's really hard to recover, so programming them appropriately will be to your benefit. Moving on. Next, we have progressive overload. Now, this isn't revolutionary, but for those who are new to working out or those who are becoming stagnant in their progress, reevaluating the way you look at progressive overload might help you get past that plateau you're stuck on. Let's say you stick with these 9 core fundamental exercises that you train every single week. From there, you have some slight variation on the additional exercises you do, but where people become stagnant, even those who've trained for years, is they look at progressive overload as just increasing the weight. And this is definitely one way we can stimulate progress, but let me give you an example on how you might need to reevaluate this. So on the right, you can see me doing a bicep curl, and here you can see 4 dials on the left. And the first dial we want to increase is our intensity, how hard we're lifting and how close we're pushing to failure. Someone who's training for hypertrophy should be pushing closer to failure. So maybe you're not cranking this dial up enough. And then we can take a look at load. This is what I just talked about with the amount of weight that you're using. And in some cases, especially for hypertrophy, using a lighter load might be more beneficial. Or maybe we need to use a heavier load if you're training for strength. And this, of course, will be specific to your goal. And the third dial here is going to be speed or tempo. This can have a greater impact than a lot of people think. This can have an impact on things like rate coding, the number of muscle fibers that we're actually recruiting. A power lifter might make better use of explosive movements for strength gain. This explosive movement a lot of times will increase the amount of stabilizing muscles that are involved, which helps recruit a maximum amount of muscle. But for someone trying to develop a specific muscle, a more tempoed and slower movement can allow for the isolation of the desired muscle. Now, the science behind a lot of this is pretty complex, so I'll add additional resources down below in the description for you to read if you're interested. And our fourth dial here is rest time. Believe it or not, rest time has a huge impact on hypertrophy and strength. When you add in more rest time after an exercise, it tends to lead to better strength gains. And for those looking to experience more hypertrophy, shorter rest times do yield better results for that. And part of this reflects back to that metabolic stress that I discussed earlier. And longer rest times tend to have less sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. We could add more dials to this, but these are simply 4 options you can start adjusting. Got it? Good. Moving on. And last on this list is going to be long length partials. Now, I feel like a broken record. This is the 3rd or 4th video I've done and mentioned long length partials, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it's definitely worth the mention. A long length partial is where we take a muscle to the stretched position and perform only a partial portion of the lift. like that, partial portion. New research seems to be favoring the fact that this stretch position can aid in the hypertrophy process and is giving better results than your full standard rep range. Now this might seem counterintuitive, and if you haven't seen any videos on this topic, I'm gonna link one at the end here, so make sure you click on that video. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Right up here, you can see my video on long length partials. Give that a watch and let me know what you guys think of this video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, hit the buttons. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.